In December, Akron, Ohio's St. Vincent St. Mary's High School, also known as the home of LeBron James, won their second straight state championship in Division III football. The school John Squires was set to play for in the fall of 1987.
It was always St. Vincent St. Mary was the football powerhouse in this area. That's where everybody wanted to go to play ball if you were gonna do anything. I was already enrolled. That's why I was able to work out at the facility. I was enrolled, and it was just a matter of waiting for September to roll around to start school.
For John, playing football was something he was born to do.
My father was an athlete when he was a kid. My uncle growing up, everybody was athletes, and it was kind of just ingrained in my blood, really. And it's what I always wanted to do. Big, rough and tumble kid. Loved getting out there and getting dirty and hitting, and I was very good at it. I was always bigger than most of the kids, growing up, and I just loved it. Captain of the football team 2 years in a row, my last 2 years. Wrestling team, same. And that, for a 15-year-old young man, that was like the pinnacle of what you are when you're in high school and junior high.
So, the summer before John was set to become St. V's freshman football star, he and some friends wanted to have fun.
It was during that summer. It was a hot summer in '87, and we were at a local state park, Turkey Foot State Park, which isn't far from here, and we were using a rope swing, and my friend had dove in, and it was my turn, so we were climbing up on a 55-gallon drum on a kind of a cliff on the edge of the lake and swinging out, and I climbed up, I swung out, and I hesitated, then I dove in, and when I dove in, as soon as I started looking down, I saw that my friend was right there. So I dove headfirst right into him, and that, just snapped my neck. I hit him right in the hip, and it just broke instantly. As soon as that happened, I was totally paralyzed from the neck down, and I just sunk to the bottom, and all I could do was blow bubbles, to let him know that something was wrong. And fortunately, he had the hindsight to know that, obviously something wasn't right, and he came down and pulled me up by the back of my swim trunks and brought me up and laid me on his chest. And that was the beginning of my new life, so to speak. I really didn't realize what it was going on until the doctor came into the room and he said, you're never gonna walk again. I'm like, well, it just didn't click. I'm like, well, when can I start playing ball again? I'm in the middle of my summer conditioning. We're supposed to be starting 2-a-days. And he said, that's not gonna happen.
Were you bitter?
No. I just wanted to get better. I just wanted to get myself where I needed to be so I could move on with my life. You have to grow up pretty quickly when something like that happens. You're either going to take that next step and move forward with your life and do something with it, or you're not.
For John, the first step was regaining his independence to get back to what he loved most, sports.
I always, worked out with weights and did cardiovascular. It kept myself going.
First, he started Locomotion, a wheelchair rugby team like this one, while a student at Kent State University.
I'm tired of driving, every weekend to do this, so I'm like, I'll start my own team. So I did. Again, it comes back to the drive and focus you have. I wanted something, so when you want something, you either long for it or you make it happen.
Recording.
Next, he returned to the sport that helped him rehab from his injury, hand cycling.
What's our speed?
About 11.6.
I had hand cycled from even when I was in rehab, and they had old hand cycles back then just to get you acclimated to sports.
And what was just exercise for John soon became his passion.
So very early on, I was introduced to Sports and Spokes. It's a wheelchair sport magazine, all about wheelchair athletes.
John, killing it on the trail.
But John didn't just want to be a wheelchair athlete. He wanted to be a champion. And he trained like one. He also posted training videos like this one on YouTube to help other disabled athletes interested in hand cycling competition.
You get on a really steep hill, you ratchet yourself all the way up until you can spin these cranks all the way over again. Again, boom, boom, boom. Then crank all the way up as you get your rotation going.
His goal was to make hand cycling a division in the annual Cleveland Marathon.
You always hear these marathon officials say, it's a community-based event. If you can train, you can race. You know, they want the community to come together. Well, what, am I not part of the community? You know, because I'm on wheels. I'm training with a third of the muscles that these runners use, you know, and I train my butt off, and I have to train harder and longer than anybody does. And then they tell me I can't go out there and race, be part of a big event. It just didn't go over very well.
So John worked with marathon officials on safety issues, and 2 years ago, they reinstated the wheelchair race. This is John competing in the marathon last May.
I don't feel like that I am more of an athlete than anybody. What I like to point out is that what I'm doing it with a lot less muscle groups firing, a lot smaller muscle groups. People get out there and they just can't believe, runners and spectators, what we're doing. And you know, they kind of lift you up and push you along when you're, you know, at the doldrums of that race. I just do it. I just want to do it. That's the goal. That's the end game. You know, cross that finish line. You know, see my beautiful wife waiting for me. That's a rush. You know, hearing all the fans screaming for you.
And at every race, before and after, is John's wife, Annalisa, who saw the man, not the wheelchair.
His confidence and his just openness, and he was so easy to talk to for me, and there was no discomfort or apprehension about, you know, him being in the wheelchair. He never made it a big deal. Like, if I didn't look at it, I probably wouldn't even know it existed, to be honest with you.
Being able to share the good and the bad with somebody is very refreshing, is a good word, I think, because you always know that somebody's got your back, that, you know, no matter how hard it gets or how great it is, you can share that with somebody.
That includes sharing his next goal, the Sadler's Alaska Challenge, a 7-day hand cycling marathon that starts in Anchorage.
It's a big deal. You know, it's the longest hand cycle race ever, and it's brutal. There's never been a quad my level that's completed it or even tried it. So it's a challenge that I hope to do.
After all, conquering challenges has become a way of life for John Squires after a swing off a rope permanently altered his. From rehabbing from a paralyzing injury to forming a wheelchair rugby team when there was none, to getting the wheelchair division reinstated to the Cleveland Marathon, to preparing for the toughest marathon of his life. John says every day is like a race to cross the finish line, but not even a wheelchair will stop him from winning.
I've never accepted being in the chair. I still have hopes that one day I'll get out of it. So yeah, because to me, if I accept it, then the injury, it's won. It comes back to the athlete in me. I don't like to lose.
And his message to others struggling to find their way from wheelchair to champion?
Just never give up. Always stay focused, stay positive. If you want something bad enough, you can accomplish it. And if you don't work, you know, if you don't give it 150%, then you're not going to accomplish it. It's very simple.
I'm Lorna Barrett with news for your soul.